Hello, everyone. I'll just be looking through The Dark Knight Returns and chatting with you guys a little back and forth. Let me just see if I can get this to look okay. This thing keeps popping up on top. I don't like that. All right. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. Saturday night. It's about 10, a little after 10 on Eastern time. I'm just going to skim through a number of things here. Hey, Immoral Fat. Yeah, this is, I think, Miller's overall finest work as a writer and artist, even though I think the writing in Daredevil Born Again is his best. But this is, I think, the best storytelling he's done on an epic scale with an epic character. I'm going to skim through it, chat with you guys, and anything else you guys want to talk about, just hit me up. Yeah, he decided to make this a 16-page panel grid throughout most of the book. Even these are, panel grids, and then of course he opens it up with certain panels here and there. But still, this is itself a panel with the dialogue up on top here as well, and then it breaks every so often, and it's like laid on. It's like cards laid on a page, which is really, really cool. And his drawing was really tight and strong. Hey, John. It was tight and strong at the opening, and by the end, it got a little loose, a little wonky. But still, the story was so strong that at least I rolled with it. I was like, okay. If you discuss it, if you look at it as an artistic, if you're trying to break it down artistically, you might say, okay, well, he could have drawn that better, drawn this better. Well, even the critics of this book, I asked them, okay, what's better in terms of the Batman story? What's better in terms of comic book stories? What's more epic? What's more, that it explodes from comic books into the mainstream? Which would happen within a few years. The Batman movie was released, I think, because of something like this. A great page layout. Again, I think he's our finest storyteller. That to me is the case. He's our finest storyteller, and Alex Toth is the greatest comic book artist. Hey, Stormtrooper Julian Caesar, how's it going, guys? Just want to go through this. This will be my basically screen background for now as I chat with you guys. Hope everyone's doing well. There was something that I sent in a super chat last night to Ethan's show. Let me pull this up. Let me see. 1 second. There was something that I posted that Ethan seemed to agree with, and then also that, hey, Frakoff, Felger Carb. It's funny. Something here. Someone actually posted this. I thought it was funny. But Tom Tuttle reposted Zach Moore's Supremacy. He goes, this never even occurred to me, but this is 100% spot on. Well spotted by Fawson. This is a super chat that I gave Ethan last night while he was talking about that video that Eric July released about a half hour, where it was pretty damn bad. Really coping, just purely coping. And the fact that it was him trying to cover up the fact that he did tell critics to pull up, to come face to face, to argue, to do confrontation, as he said, right? And then he denied all that. He lied. And then him getting Riley arrested and so on. And it's the same thing. Riley's just, he's a protester. He is an Eric July protester. He protests him. And he had him arrested because he doesn't see it as legit when it comes to him. I don't think he's ever criticized his boy, Alex Stein, for protesting others and going out there and, doing that type of thing. Anyway, so I sent Ethan this super chat. I said, July lies about Riley like the left lies about January 6ers, trying to turn a protest into something dangerous, all to make their critics think twice. And it got a little play. Someone actually made this little design about it. I thought that was pretty cool. And I think it's true. I think that this is what the left, this is what Eric July did, just trying to criminalize legit protest because they're butthurt over it. Who gives a shit however how he feels about it, deal with it. And the best thing he could have done is walk out there and say, "Hey, Riley, okay, what's the problem here? What's a real beef? Come on, have a little fun with it." He wouldn't do that. Instead, he called the cops. And supposedly there is an audio of him calling the cops, and I guess that no one has been able to access it yet. But look at us getting it, guys. This 16 panel grid that always opens up at times. It's like Dave Gibbons used the 9 panel grid, which I think is, I don't know, less effective, I think, in terms of just Ditko used that in the early Spider-Man comics. But this works for if you if you have a dense story like Dark Knight Returns, it works beautifully, beautifully. And then of course you open it up every so often. The current book that I'm doing, there is somewhat of a 16 panel grid. That changes, of course. Sometimes I got the long panels as well, off to the side for establishing shots, characters that are full from the top of the page down, and have they added a thing where I have an extra panel tier because it's taller than your average comic book. The book will end up being 8 by 14, which is at least an inch or two taller than your average comic. Headless Bourgeois, hey, hi. Frakoff Felger Carb says, have you ever been a fan of V, the miniseries or TV show? I remember seeing it. I can't remember too much about it. I can't say. But I guess you liked it. Was it good? Was the movie better than the series? Or I think I knew of the actor. I did know him, actually. I got a chance to, the guy in the TV show at least, I got a chance to interact with him. He used to be at the Breitbart parties in Hollywood. I think he died a few years ago. He was also a Facebook friend. He was part of the Friends of Abe movement. Excuse me, I got my stomach growling. Apologize if you could hear it. Sorry about that. So yeah, this is, it's almost all, there's a grid that he does. He's telling a dense story, and then of course he opens it up sometimes like this and this. But it works. Damn, this stomach. But this is just great stuff. This is Miller really thinking things through, incorporating, just integrating completely the writer artist, into one, and that's why he doesn't separate it. I don't. Will Eisner didn't separate it. It's not like, okay, I'm a writer and I'm an artist, and no, I'm a writer artist. I'm a cartoonist. It's the first time. Excuse me, guys. God damn it, the stomach is really really growling. Apologize. Oh wow, Stormtrooper Junior said I just bought DK Returns a couple of weeks ago. You never read it before? Let me know. Did you read it, by the way? And if you read it, I wouldn't recommend looking at it this way. If you didn't read it, let me know. The TV show and second miniseries are not great. I guess it came back after a while. Headless Bourgeois says Miller was incorporating political cartooning into his work as far as back as Dark Knight Returns, like the entitled Yuppie a few pages back. Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it. The talking heads, the left and the right, with Lana Lang going for Batman, the other guys going against him, and so on. And this is legit good, rock solid drawn from Miller. It's like he's channeling a little of Neil Adams at this point, and then goes very different later on. Very, very stylized. A lot thicker around the guts. He wasn't nearly as like heroic looking. He was much more beaten looking. But Frakoff Felger Karp says Kenneth Johnson was writer and director of the first miniseries. Did he end up doing something else, Kenneth Johnson? Is that a name I should know, or let me know? Okay, Stormtrooper Junior said, I never read it, but watched the animated movie when it came out. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend looking at it this way. I just wouldn't. But the movie is really good, and Peter Weller did a great voice delivery for Bruce Wayne Batman. Very different than the other guy, the popular guy who did it. Amoral Fat 40 on says, I find the art in the Dark Knight Returns to be charming. It's a time capsule. It has a lot of energy. Absolutely. Miller was on fire. You could tell. He was I think he said at one point that he was scared to take it on. Batman is a big deal. He's an icon, and here he is getting his shot, and he doesn't want to fuck up. But he came strong. He says, "All right, I'm going to project into the future, 30 years, 20 something years into the future when he's in his mid 50s, kicking ass still. He's a little slower, a little heavier, and clearly older. But this is strong stuff, and this is things like this tells you, okay, the guys who made the Batman cartoon were looking at things like this. You know, simplified it, yeah, but that's the gist of it. That strong silhouette looking image. And Miller again went off. He stepped up and just did really, really great work here, strong. And again, as he moved on, lightly. Okay, look at this, guys. That's like right out of the animated cartoon. That really is close. I'm gonna skip a little because I don't know how this goes in terms of copyright. Um, but this is just really good stuff from Miller. Really good stuff. I don't know. Okay, it keeps doing that. I want to show the full page and it's having a hard time doing it. Frakoff, Felger Carbs in 1983, 1984, made for TV. Wow, it's that long ago. Okay, I know that name then. Okay, Kenneth Johnson. Kenneth wrote their Incredible Hulk TV series, Bionic Man and Bionic Woman. Wow, that guy was damn good. I loved the Bionic Man. Even though, I mean, I had a crush on Lindsay Wagner, big time. She's really attractive. Something about her look. She was old woman, and the Hulk, show was good. Especially when you're younger, you appreciate that stuff. But it had its things where the Hulk only threw guys. That was it. It's okay. And then he had some, legit, I guess, competition where you had that other guy, the tall, skinny, with the belly Hulk. It was very weird. Very, very weird. I'm going to skip through a few more guys. I don't want to get, okay. So it can go here. I want to see that second cover if they show it. They don't show it here, huh? I guess they show it at the end, the second cover. Yeah, this is effective stuff, man. Interesting layout. The close-up, the art, hitting on all cylinders. I mean, Lynn Varley came in and just look at this. Look what she did. Added a lot of texture and shading, and that comics weren't doing that at that time. If something was yellow, it was yellow. That's it. Here you have light green, slightly yellow, dark green around it, a little yellow there, a little orange, a little texture here. This thing keeps coming. I don't like that. What the hell is going on here? Yeah, okay, if I do that. And I'm thinking it's possible that they're, he used Jim Shooter as a model for this. I don't know, but it's possible. I know that Shooter got a bad rap, I think, from some of the butthurt pros who resented the fact that he wanted them to step up and do, timely, great work consistently. And then, of course, you hear the people, well, he was trying to do work that was more, this and that, and layouts were less dramatic. Really? Look at Walt Thomas's work. Look at Frank Miller's. Look at Burns. That was conventional? Not at all. Maybe by the time he got to Valiant, he was, it was just storytelling, 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 to the point where sometimes there was no drop like splash pages or dramatic stuff. It was really, 8 panels or whatever, 8 panel grids, and that's about it. No real variety. And then I think Dave Lapham, when he was on his own at least, took it to an extreme form with that like storyboard layout panels for stray bullets. But this is great stuff here. This is great stuff. Back off, man. I'll kill the kid. Believe me. I will. Believe me. Brack, brack. I believe you. It's awesome. I think Peter Weller, I believe you. He had that very, very strong delivery. Um, Strong stuff. And of course, this is DC probably editorial, almost 100% changing what Lynn Varley had done there, because that doesn't look like a Lynn Varley panel at all. At all. Look at that. It's just gray blood, and that's blood. And they're trying to say, well, you don't know it's blood because it's not red, so he didn't really kill him. Hell yeah, he killed him. He made a choice. He's going to kill the kid. He's threatening him. I'm going to kill this guy. And of course, they can always backtrack, like to do with the Joker later. Leaders also get these black boxes, right? And you're like, oh, I see. It's brilliant. I mean, talk about having a ball with a corporate character like Batman and making him interesting again. And then you got these horrific news reports, these horrific stories, people being blown up in the subways and a general shooting himself. And look at that. How iconic is that? Square as hell. Almost Clint Eastwood style. I know what his mouth is. That's really, really good. He was really cartooning it up here. Kicking ass big time. Stormtrooper Julian. Oh yeah. Yeah, I love the movie, and from just flipping through a book, it looks almost exactly the same. Yeah, yeah, they did a great job of more or less they mimicked Miller pretty damn well. And they did a really good job with that movie. I really like it. They had that hour special, like with Miller and others talking about the impact that Dark Knight had, not just on Miller, clearly, but on the world of comics, on pop culture, on the movies. Because again, you don't have that Batman movie coming that because it wasn't for what 10 years, 15 years after the Superman movie they were trying to do a Batman movie, and for one reason or another they couldn't quite get it off the ground. And all of a sudden, when you have Batman with a massive hit like Dark Knight Returns, where Rolling Stone magazine picks it up and other news sources pick it up, and Miller's being interviewed by mainstream sources, all of a sudden you think it's by accident that they said, oh, you know what? I think it's time. Yeah, of course it was. And DC clearly had some influence in that, possibly also, which I think Warner Bros. Must have owned them at that time. They must have. I know they eventually did. This is great stuff, man. This is great stuff. The mutant leader. Frakov Felgerkarp says his work was based on Upton Sinclair's It Could Happen Here. In general, that writer, Kenneth Johnson, is what you're saying? Hello out there. Yes, she was Bionic Woman. Absolutely. Lindsay Wagner loved her. She was in a Rockford Files also. Absolute doll. Frakov, Felgerkarp. Zack Snyder basically put the Dark Knight into a Superman versus Batman movie. He did, but he's not that bright, so he didn't do it well. He didn't set up no background, meaning they got impatient. They got stupid. They should have established the Superman Man of Steel and then a Batman movie separate from it, right? And then maybe the Wonder Woman movie, and then have a little history play out, and then maybe meet after the fact when they've been around for a few years, and maybe they've disagreed and so on. Build some kind of animosity, not just like that. It doesn't make sense. And then you put these iconic moments and scenes from Dark Knight, not really. And then also you put the Death of Superman story in there. It's like, okay, Dark Knight, Death of Superman. What else you got? What's going on here? A mess. And it wasn't because he was ambitious, it's because he was stupid. He didn't do the story justice. He didn't build Superman enough to get to the point where Batman's gonna, it wasn't good. Frakov Felgerkarp says Marina Baccarin from Deadpool was in the 2000. Oh wow, yeah, I like her a lot. I think she's beautiful and a good actress. Okay. SXS says Dark Knight Returns was one of the last books to do something interesting with the Joker. Great character, but he's so overdone. Absolutely. He really is. Zack Snyder is a dumb guy. He really is. You try to follow him in interviews. It's almost impossible. He's really stupid. And now also he's been threatening to make a Fountainhead movie for years. It's like, please don't. Please. He would fuck it up. Okay, this is brilliant, guys. Brilliant. Um, a shot of the White House. Conversations going on between two people. You got the American flag coming up on it. And as they're talking, it blends into the iconic Superman. It's powerful, guys. And without color, it might not work at all. This is where color is needed big time here. And it's brilliant. This is a kind of thinking man's artist, and Miller at his finest. Um, it's just so well done. And again, it doesn't have the slickness that some artists have. It doesn't matter at this point. It's just great storytelling, and it gets you right, cuts right to the bone. Um, it's great stuff, man. He sheds the blue, he sheds the blue, and then he comes back out with the gray and black at this point. He went all black here. It's like, I think Mazzucchelli's in Batman Year One. I don't think there was one, maybe with the explosion inside the building, where it was done gray because of the light, but it was black throughout the entire thing. His cowl and cape was always black. Cowl, cape, gloves, and boots. And this is when a return to that classic. And this, again, this is great composition, a great shot, the cape flowing there. And it's funny, in the Dark Knight, in the Dark Knight movie, when when the Batmobile is totaled by the Joker, and Batman busts out with the I guess bat cycle, whatever you call it. They thought about it behind the scenes. They said, okay, how are we gonna make this work? The cape might get caught in the tires and that, and it didn't. It just kept flowing in the air, and it did in the movie, and it did in real life. And how cool is that? And the material they had was really, really good, because the cape in the Batman in the Dark Knight movies had this, what's it called? You know what? Let me show you something. This is what I use. This is the material that I use for my reviews. It's like it absorbs. It doesn't. Sorry, it bounces light off. It doesn't absorb light, and that's the kind of material. At least to me, it looks like they use for the Batman in the Dark Knight films. I believe that's what it was. It was like this really black that doesn't absorb light. It's pretty damn cool, and I believe they did that. One second. And I use that in my book reviews. Put it on the table and put it right over, so all you get focused completely on the book. There's no reflections, no nothing. So that's just a great shot by Miller. Great design. And then you get the politics of this female being shoved in as commissioner because she's a female. This is 40 years ago now, just about 39 years. Next year it'll be 40 years. The 40th anniversary of Dark Knight Returns. Incredible. Great scene. Batman returns here to take on the monster that kicked his ass. Could have killed him. And then you got this little snapshot of a Matt Murdock type. He brought in Matt Murdock there a little. Pretty funny. It was a lawyer. He's a defense lawyer. I guess taking little pot shots against the other company when he's working for the old one, when he moved over. Pretty funny. This is great stuff with Superman coming in there. And Robin's like, she sees up. Something hurls itself into the sky. Something leaps a tall building with a single bound. He goes, my orders were specific. Watch it. Yeah, but look at that, guys. I mean, iconic as hell. That's the cover I have. Check this out, guys. You may have seen this. I'm not sure, but I got the ours edition of the Dark Knight Returns, and I have also the 4 individual hardcover copies as well, which is fantastic. You got each issue is a hardcover, and then you got this. This is the artist edition with that image that I just showed right now, and it's really, really awesome. Look at that. And they have some really good stuff here. They have some stuff here where, because Miller was experimenting, and he was getting a little pissed off at Klaus Janson because he was getting on him to try something different, and Klaus was just doing what he does. And then so Miller began inking some panels here and there, experimenting, and they used some, they didn't use some. There's some very dramatic differences here. Look at this. This is all Miller right here, right there on this page. It's all Miller inking, and then they show you what Klaus did, in the parts that weren't published as a high contrast, just to show the difference. It's pretty wild to see. And then you have this, the one that was published. This is Miller's version, right? The one that ended up being published. But you still have a chance to look at Klaus Janson's version. And it is different. It's just interesting to see these 2 artists and how they designed it differently. And okay, this also. This is different than the published version, because the published version had the black on Batman. Miller inked the other one. So it's an interesting look at the series that way. Pretty awesome, guys. Pretty awesome. One more. I'm going to show you one more. We know of this scene. If you read the book, you know of this page, right? This one right here. Miller ended up inking that after Klaus already inked his. And I guess Miller wasn't pleased with it. And Klaus's was open. It wasn't the black, all the black on Batman's costume. So this is Klaus's version of that page. And this happens throughout the whole book. And they have these, I guess, what do you call that? What do you call that? It's not trace paper, it's vellum. Vellum. Those are printed on vellum so you can see through them to see the other side. Pretty damn cool, man. Pretty damn cool. But let me show you. Look at this, guys. Look at this iconic image. And these are the pencils also. They show you the pencils, Miller's pencils of that. Pretty wild. And then also, let's show that one last image, and I'll get back here, guys. I just, if there's one series, it's like, to me, if there's one series, look at the cover. Okay, this was Miller's, check this out, guys. This was Miller's drawing for the cover of issue 1, that classic, iconic image. And if you look at it, it's him. The detail, if you look at it, it's the front of Batman. Because people could argue, well, is that the back of Batman in front? I can't really tell necessarily. Well, we now know that it was exactly a front shot of Batman that they just made into pure silhouette into this. And it's as iconic as it gets. Brilliant. I'll show one more. The big, fat image. And then I'll get back to the pages and get back to your comments. Yeah, no, not scanned from original art. Yeah, sometimes they couldn't get access to all the original art. They've been scattered across the world, art collectors. But I so wanted to see that one in the original art. God damn it, that sucks. That's like the biggest. That's the first big shot of Batman there. But yeah, this is a great book, guys. It's very expensive now. This is older, but it's so good. And again, it was all about the story. Miller was just going off. He had his shot to do Batman, and he did it really, really well. So well that, you know, that's the one, that's the book, that's the big one that ruled them all, you know. Okay, guys, I'm going to read a few more comments here and then keep going. SXS said DC was rushing to catch up to MCU Avengers and thought they could do it to him. It was 100%. They fucked up. They tripped over themselves, is what they did. And unfortunately, they had an idiot, Zack Snyder, who's not an auteur. He's not a writer or a director. He's not. He basically is dumb. And I don't say that just to say that, guys. I'm not saying that just to be rude. He is dumb. You hear him in interviews. He tries to articulate his ideas, and you see the movies that he writes. No, I can't. I mean, I can't. Doesn't get heroism either. He doesn't. He's always thinking in terms of something edgy. Like he said this about years before. I think he even worked with Nolan in Man of Steel. And Man of Steel to me is a good movie, and one of the main reasons why it's good, could have been better, is because Christopher Nolan was a producer and he was there, and he was telling him, "I don't think so, Zach. Let's pull. No, 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 no. Let's go back to this." And he didn't let him do certain things. Because the dummy said in an interview he was gonna try to say that his Batman will be darker than Nolan's. I mean, his Batman, he might be raped in prison, you know? I mean, in his version, as if that's edgy, as if you want to see Batman get raped, Bruce Wayne. Doesn't matter what happens in the real world. The dummy can't seem to separate that these are icons you don't want to fuck with. So he's really stupid. And again, he'll make some visuals. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool looking. Okay, yeah, that's it. He's like a Jim Lee, like it leaves you cold. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good pose. Pretty cool pose, Jim. What else you got? What else you got? Have you told a story? You've been there for over 30 years, 40 years. Have you even written or even tried to? Something? Have you given us something like, holy shit? Even when he had a chance to try something different, Jim Lee, with Hush or one of those series, I think it could have been Hush. He said that him and Scott Williams were trying something different. That maybe Scott Williams would use a brush to ink his work. And I was excited for the first time of Jim Lee. I was like, holy shit, that'll be a real interesting look. Of course, they didn't do it. They got cold feet because they're like, yeah, but we've established ourselves as this. Fans expect this many lines, this thin lines, and crispy, and we shouldn't deviate from that. Well, he should have. Would have given us a different look at his art, a different experience. Otherwise, it's just the same shit over and over again, and it's boring. It's boring. I want to read a few of these lines here, which are brilliant. The Joker blows up this building through some toys, and Batman says, "I'll send Robin home," who's really shaken. He goes, "I'll help the." No, sorry, Carrie Kelly. I love her. I love her character, and visually also she works. Just one second, guys. She works visually. You think about it. You get the darkness of Batman, then you have not only the red, yellow, and green, but then you have this just burst of orange. And I don't think it's there by accident. I think maybe his affinity for how it worked for Ayn Rand. It's possible that he put that in there. It's just that constant, orange throughout the entire story, where it's just a bright spot, the bright spot of the story against all the gray and darkness. I think it's important, and she works. And the one thing in that she works, I think, most is this: she's a self-motivated hero. She went out there, got her Robin costume, started fight small fry crime. This guy, this card shark, she ruined his fraud. She was doing a few things, and then she hears about this meeting, something Batman's going to fight the guy, and goes there and saves him. So she's self-motivated. I love that. Whereas Yellow Robins, I guess, had to be roped in and convinced that they should fight crime, and where she is all in. I like that aspect. And the word is that, I think, if I remember correctly, John Byrne or Frank Miller were talking about it, they were on a flight, I guess, to a San Diego Comic Con, and they were talking about what they were doing, and Miller told him, I got this, I'm doing Batman." And then they were talking about Robin, and some way, I don't know how it happened, but I think Byrne started doodling something, and he goes like, "There's your Robin," something like that. Now, is that Byrne talking about it to try to take credit for Carrie Kelly? I don't know, but I don't think Miller denied it ever. So it's possible that John Byrne threw him this great little nugget, and it works beautifully. It works. She's a good kid. She's self motivated. That's the key right there. Uh, it's it gets a little tiresome of the hero not wanting to be a hero and so on, and you gotta convince him. It's like, all right, fuck out of here. You want to do it, yes or no? Whereas she goes in there, saves Batman. I mean, actually saves him, and he's like, all right. Anyway, so let me get back to this, and then let me get back to your comments. He goes, "I'll send Robin home. I'll help the emergency teams as best I can. I'll count the dead one by one. I'll add them to the list, Joker. The list of all the people I've murdered by letting you live." Brilliant. Brilliant. And then Joker, "Just can't sleep. Should sleep. Should be fresh tomorrow. Tomorrow I go free, but I just can't sleep." That he's going to go on the David Endocrine show. I know it's supposed to be some inside jokes in some capacity. I just don't know. It's David Letterman, clearly. Um, and then you got this epic shot of Clark Kent, who's no longer a reporter, who is working for the government, for the U.S. government. And you find out later on that it's him doing this because the Kryptonians, the city of Kandor, is being used against him. Like, if you don't do this, we're going to destroy them all, type thing. At least you find that out later on. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what I believe happened. I'm sorry, this thing keeps turning here. I don't know what this is. Okay. I hope the sound was okay, guys. It keeps reverting back to the eCam thing. I don't know why. But anyway, here's Superman visiting his old friend Bruce Wayne. And then something happens. The president's talking about how the Russians, that like they're sore losers, and maybe they might be doing something. And then he got this little humor with Bruce goes back to the house, and Alfred's there. He goes, "Your accountants are wait in the West Wing, sir." He goes, "Tell them I'm sick. Shan't have to lie. That refugee charity called. Write them a check. And the Committee for the Prevention of Obsessive Behavior in Middle-Aged Men. Write them a check. Very good, sir. Your sense of humor is as keen as ever." It's funny. And then there's a little backstory here, a little reference to what the situation is with Bruce and Clark. And he's just like a government weapon at this point, Superman. It's unfortunate, but that's where Miller put him. He almost redeems him in the Dark Knight, in the third Dark Knight master race with the Kandorians. Is that what you would call them? The Kryptonians from the city of Kandor. All right, guys, I'm gonna read a few more. Richard Gradwell. Hey, Richard. He goes, "I love Dark Knight Returns, but I liked Year One better." Yeah, I mean they're both great. I just think as an epic story in terms of the impact that it had, I think Dark Knight. You got Superman, you have the Joker, you have these big epic characters. This also, just this one thing here, it's interesting to me. It's like Lynn Varley. She didn't distinguish between the cape and the back sky, and it works. This she colored darker just to differentiate it, but it works. He's blending in with the night. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And just the whole layouts are fantastic. The city is legit, lit from underneath. Really, really good. And then here it looks almost fat with the fat legs. And yeah, Miller tends to lose some. Look at this. The Joker walks. He walks on the show with his psychiatrist, who's a maniac, who's sick in the head. He goes, so many faces, so different from one another, so few smiles. Yep. And then he tells the TV host, I'm going to kill everyone in this room. And the host, now that's darn rude. And then his psychiatrist tells him, he just trying to break the tension. Yeah. What happens is he lives up to his threat, is what happens. And then he glides out of there on one of those toys. And then you got Superman here. Let me just get back here for 1 second, guys. I'll read about a slight backstory that Superman alludes to, and then I'll get here. Because the rest of us learn to cope. The rest of us recognize. Now, each character, and I'm doing this same thing, clearly I'm borrowing from here, but in my current work, I'm having the main characters with all of their internal monologues and all different colors. One character is blue for true blue. One is red for passion and fire. There's another character who's almost a cross between those two characters, and he's purple because it's red and blue mixed. They're the primary colors. He's the mixed. And then you got other characters in gray and yellow and orange, and just they're like variations on these. But you have the primary colors, and here you have Batman's gray. Pigman in my comic is that rust orange. It's a pigskin leather color in there, and Super Jihad is green, and then I think in the story also, Killian, when he does have an inner monologue, it's black with orange colors, an opposite of Pigman. I just love that stuff. And Miller is the one who I think first established it, at least in my memory, at least in mainstream comics. So this is Superman in blue. Because the rest of us recognize the danger of the endless. No, this is really good psychological writing here. The rest of us learn to cope. The rest of us recognize the danger of the endless envy of those not blessed. He's bringing the element of the envy that mankind has for these giants, and it's real and it's dangerous to them potentially if it's let out of hand. That's good stuff, and I guess some would be, if not many. He goes, Diana went back to her people, Hal went to the stars, and I have walked the razor's edge for so long. But you, Bruce, you with your wild obsession, justice. He just, and then he adds, then he's with taking out some Russian soldiers. This is during the Cold War. He goes, they'll kill us if they can, Bruce. Every year they grow smaller. Every year they hate us more. We must not remind them that giants walk the earth. And here's my chance to show you, my opportunity to show you something regarding that image, because there's this is the one that Miller inked, but this book has the Klaus Janson inked version. So let me just show you guys. It's just really cool to see the. Okay, so here is Miller's version, right there that you see. I'll open this up here. You see this one overlaid, right? But then you see Klaus Janson's version, and it's different. Clearly different, more traditional, more weight on certain lines. It's not, but I do like Miller's better for this particular shot. It just works a little more. I don't know. It works better. I think it's just so cool to have the opportunity to see that, because there should be next year, there should be an extra special 40th anniversary edition of Dark Knight Returns. Whatever they can do to make it special, they should. While Miller's around, while Klaus is around, and whatever happened between Miller and Lynn Varley, I know they had gotten divorced, but while they're all around, there should be something. There should be events. There should be panels, to celebrate this. And I know People resent the book now because it led to grim and gritty comics and all that. That's not their fault. They just made these great comics, Miller and Moore and stuff, and people ran with it. They tried to mimic it. That's not Miller's problem. It's not. He did what he did, and people tried to mimic it. That's their problem. That's their unoriginality. You know. Um, Frakoff Felger Carp says Zack Snyder appeared on YouTube with some of the Geeks and Gamers crew and accused them of being racist. Yes, he did. He's such an asshole, and that he was not affiliated with them. They raided money for Snyder's charity. Yes, they did. They ended up being 75,000 or 100,000, and I remember that Ethan called him out, and he's trying to get on because Ethan would have called him out, and he couldn't get on. They wouldn't let him on. I think Jeremy Griggs, if that's his name, he wouldn't let him on because he knew that he was going to say something about it. And I would have loved that because Zack Snyder deserves to say, he was, hey, fuck you. We're here. You're on this show. You are here. Are you a racist? You call us racist. Why'd you come on a racist show? If you actually believe that we're racist, why'd you come on here? Instead, they're stupid. And they're reliant on that. And they trash Hollywood and they can't wait to get under its pants, like, bent over to it. Like, whatever, man. The guy should have been called out. They should have said, if you believe that, what the fuck are you doing here? And people can say, oh, anyone, if you were there. Yeah, I would have said that if I were there. I wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have been invited. But the point is that he spit on them. He spit on his fans. And that's a real piece of shit Hollywood hack right there. However edgy he fancies himself, he's not at all. He does really bad movies. The only time he's decent is when someone has him in check. Like even 300, the graphic novel kept him in check. Man of Steel, Christopher Nolan kept him in check, and that's his best films, I think. And then also even like the zombie thing that James Gunn wrote. He had the script to keep him in check. Now, when he's free to be his most authentic self, quote unquote, what does he do? He does something called Rebel Moon, which I can't watch. The trailer kept me away from it. I was like, I'm not going to watch this. A big, fat, bloated, Zack Snyder jerk-off fest. I don't know. I don't want to see that. Yeah, but there's a sex scene with the monster. It's like a snake monster. I want to see that? No. No thanks. So bad. Bat Pod, right, Richard? Bat Pod. That's what they called it. SXS says, did you ever read the DKR, the Dark Knight Returns sequels? I heard they were all bad. Second one's horrific. Even though I will say that I read the first one and excitement was there, right? I can't wait to read it. Like, wow, this is like 15 years later, I think at that point. About 15 years later. 2000, and then you got into 2001 and 9/11 hit. So what happened was that the second one was not good. The first issue was good, and then you stop it back and reread it, and it's like, and you look at the art and say, oof, okay, a little rough. I don't know what the hell Lynn's doing here. She's doing some literal, like, I don't know what she was doing, experimenting with digital color when she shouldn't have been. Do the experimentation on your own and then give us the finished results. It's like, Radiohead sometimes. I love Radiohead. To me, it's like, you got OK Computer in terms of if there's one album I'm going to have on a desert island, that's it. If it's one comic, Dark Knight, it's of that quality. But there were albums where they were experimental albums. Like, fine, but don't release experimental albums. They're not albums. They're experiments. Don't do that. And it looked like they were experimenting with Dark Knight Strikes, and they shouldn't have, not at our expense. And they did do it at our expense because we were excited about it, and then we get this pretty bad comic, a complete mess. And then 3 was more organized. Miller co-wrote it. What does that mean? I don't know. They weren't into the specifics, but. And then you got one of the Kubert boys, Andy Kubert or Adam Kubert, I don't know which one, penciling it, trying to mimic Miller and doing a pretty good job. And then Klaus Janson making it. And then, you got a lot of artists paying tribute to Dark Knight. and that's cool. And it was better. It was a better story, and it was some really good elements as opposed to Dark Knight Strikes, which was just bad. So there were good elements in part three. Great story, not necessarily. Good elements, definitely, and some good layouts that Kubrick was doing. And it was good seeing Klaus back on there, and there was some good scenes and pretty good. I want to see them continue that one. You know, maybe with a different artist as well. Not Miller, but then again, I still think Miller can tell a kick-ass story. What's stopping him? I don't know. Drawing, maybe different story. You see some of the covers doing right now. I don't want to see the comic drawn like that, but he could still tell a story. He just hasn't done it yet, but I think he still can. Richard Gradwell says they're not as bad as they're made out to be, but they're nowhere near as good as Dark Knight Returns or Year One. That's for sure. That's for sure. But part three is better than part two. That's for sure. Also, Flutterbat. Hey, Flutterbat. Batman Begins and Batman the Dark Knight were masterpieces. Then Dark Knight Rises comes along, and within 10 minutes, he's humiliated in his own mansion by a female thief. Typical woke BS. I like that movie a lot. Personally, I prefer it to the others. Just in terms of I know, and I'm a minority in that, and I know it, and I'll get shit, and I don't care. I love Bane in there. I love the fact that Batman, physically could not handle Bane. Batman, the best fighter, right? The best detective, the best this. He got his ass kicked hard by Bane. And Bane was played great by Tom Hardy. And it was an epic movie, and the stakes were as high as could be. And it's a throwback to episode one, where the Batman Begins. With Ra's al Ghul's, Ra's al Ghul's destiny, with his mission fulfilled through Bane and his daughter. So I didn't even think of that. Like, woke, I don't think so. That's not, politically speaking, we don't know where Christopher Nolan stands. And if you don't know usually where someone in Hollywood stands, let's just say they don't stand with the left. I'm not saying they're on the right. I'm not saying much besides that. But all I know is that if we don't know where they stand politically, they probably don't stand on the left, because if they did stand on the left, they'll be loud whores about it, as all leftists are. All leftists want to be known. I'm a leftist, huh? Like, all happens to be also the least talented ones, like Mark Ruffalo, Ben Affleck. Even though Ben Affleck has turned out to be pretty good at what he does, even though years ago he was an absolute hack, terrible actor. And then he does some movies like, okay, he's a good director. The Accountant was good. There's a sequel coming out. Looks good too. We'll see about that. He's an autistic assassin along those lines, if I remember correctly. But so yeah, I loved part three. I thought it was great. Batman defeated and forced to watch the destruction of Gotham, and somehow climbs out of that hellhole and gets back and shocks the hell out of Bane. He's like, "It's impossible." He couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe it. And I did a little Bane impression actually recently when someone said, "Were you born in Islam?" I said, "Yeah, I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man, and by then it was blinding." Hilarious. I don't know if you guys saw Oral Knots. Oral Knots. It's a channel on YouTube, Oral Knots, I believe, like astronauts, but Oral Knots. And they have a few Bane videos. You gotta check them out, guys. It's hilarious. It's really funny. Bane's rapping and doing some other stuff, and of course, with Tom Hardy's mouth covered, it sounds authentic, as if he's actually saying those things. Lucas also brilliant design here. Miller throughout the entire book. Oops. Okay, Miller throughout the entire book here. Where is okay? Has the gutters, the space between the panels, more or less white, but here You have the bodies of the victims of the Joker on that TV show. And you see this right here, and they're spread out through the entire page to show how many have been murdered. That's very effective. Very effective. And there's a Selena Kyle Catwoman, and the Joker says, "The years have not been kind, Selena. The years have not been kind." Great shot. Another great shot. The Bat Pod, as Rich remind me. Great stuff, man. I got to go through a few more, actually. I don't want to go through the whole book. I just don't want to. Yeah, look at that. It's become iconic, this. First time I was like, what the hell? Why is he so flabby? Where are the stomach cuts, Sorry, where are the leg muscle cuts and all that? And why is that arm short, relative to the other one? But you didn't look at that. You read it and like, holy shit, you're completely in. And then later on, when you just look at the art, that's when you have your criticisms. But I think that's just it's after the fact. Yeah, this is good stuff, man. Let me show a few more images actually with the splash pages that I mentioned before. Oops. Um, this. It's great. The contrast between this big monster of a superhero and that bouncing ball of color. Um, Flutter. Okay. Mike TV Dub. Hail Bosch. I'm triple stream watching right now, just rotating through the stream, and it's your turn. That's funny, man. Very cool. Frakoff Felger Carb says Batman Beyond with old Bruce Wayne was a great cartoon. It was a great cartoon. Really well done. The concept was good. The concept was solid, and the design work was solid. They took their time and they thought about it pretty well. And it was great seeing Bruce Wayne part of the new Batman series in his own capacity. More than an Alfred, he was a mentor. He was trying to keep it together. And Terry was a good character too. And that suit was awesome. That first episode where you see Bruce Wayne in that Batman Beyond suit was awesome too. He was the Dark Knight version, the Dark Knight Returns version at that point. And then I think at least 15, 20 years later. So he became very old, but that was good. It was a solid show. Very, very cool. And they made the most of it. They shot it up into the future, an old Bruce Wayne. And then they had a movie or two, if you remember, the Joker movie, which was really good too. The Return of the Joker. That was good. Yeah. SXS says, "Holy cow, that's huge." Yeah, the books, the Dark Knight Returns artist edition. SXS, I don't think I have a shelf big enough for that beast. I put them up against the wall. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those huge books. And then I have a lot of the omnibuses and a lot of the gallery editions, I guess you would call them, the absolute versions and so on. It's great, great, great stuff. Yeah, I think I have 8. Maybe one more on the other side. It's great. Yeah, they really look great. Flutterbat, that's awesome, bro. They are. Stephen Mack, hey Stephen. SXS, I wonder why Miller never had a run on Batman like he did on Daredevil. As in a long run. I'm assuming, Batman's such an icon. He wanted to, I think, make his stamp, boom, and not get into the nitty gritty of the monthly stuff. I'm assuming at that point. Plus, he can call his shots at that point because Miller, the only time he ever did it monthly was Daredevil in that first run. And then he came back for those 7 issues for, 226 to 233. And then no more monthly work. All he did at that point were specialty series and graphic novels and, Sin City. And he never did monthly work again. I mean, maybe he released it on a monthly level like the Sin City comics and such. But I don't know. He did. I mean, it's interesting also that the Batman Year One was released in the regular Batman comic, if you remember. It was released in the regular Batman comic as just 4 issues cutting into it. That was interesting the way they did that. So in one sense, he did a 4-issue run of Batman. and then of course it's collected as seen as a quote unquote graphic novel. Um, Flutterbat says unpopular opinion, but I didn't mind the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. Thought it was pretty decent. Yeah, I didn't like it. I know someone said that there was a director's edition out there. Um, he to me, I didn't mind him as Batman. I thought he was pretty good as Batman, actually, as Batman, not as Daredevil. I didn't like him as Daredevil. Um, and he wasn't that good an actor back then. He has become since a good actor. I think it has to do with something about he looks miserable, and I think he outside of his acting, he looks like a miserable guy. And I think maybe when he acts, he brings a little more, at least something. Whereas he was just a punk partying and then making movies like, all right, I guess time to make a movie. Like, bothered. Yeah, it got in the way of his partying. And now I think he's probably partied out. Let's just say that. And he's like, all right, fuck it. I'll do something worthwhile. The guy's a good filmmaker. And he was supposed to do a Batman movie, which would have been great. And whatever reason, drink or whatever, that's the word supposedly, that he was recovering and didn't have the health to do it. That's unfortunate because that could have been interesting because he's a better filmmaker than Zack Snyder. And I think he could have done something interesting with Batman. I really believe he could have done something interesting. This is good stuff. Again, this guy's telling a story. He's not making pretty pictures. I really appreciate this kind of work right here. And just this little snapshots of objects and things and the background of the Batcave and the news media here. Really, really good. And the cartooning here, You look at the early issues of Dark Knight Return, well, the first issue at least, this was not part of that early issue. I mean, it was very representational. Bruce Wayne was drawn in shadow and realism. And this is epic stuff here, guys. This is epic stuff. Epic. I mean, look at this. And the dialogue. You got this new coming up. 20 million die by fire if I am weak. Brilliant. Powerful. And then you have a fat guy dressed up as Mr. Miracle. Or Miracle Man. I don't know if they changed it. Look at that. Look at that. The effort. People, the world's just watching. And he averts it. It's what all superheroes do, right? They take that nuke and they avert it. Well, let's just say I do something along those lines, but I do it a little differently. And look at this. And Clark in his sickbed says, Clark, you idiot. You let them do it. I always knew you would. As in, you had the power to stop them and you didn't do shit. And he says something here. He goes, since Wayne Manor's emergency generator hasn't kicked in and Robin's watch has stopped, I'll assume Russia has taken the lead in the arms race. Because I keep track of these things, Clark. One of us has to. And then he goes, to the stables, Robin. And Alfred, aren't we looking chipper? And again, that's such an iconic version of Batman. It's so Miller. It's so good. That's Miller. And he has that, beaten up look and the short ears, and they go all the way to the back, which I love. I love that because I didn't like Lee's version where the ears pop out in the middle there. I just don't like it. It looks so limp. There, they did that in the Dark Knight movies also, unlike the other ones. It fits better coming from the back of the head. The city's going to hell. No power. Planes crashing. Look at that. Holy shit. Incredible. SXS says, I hated Man of Steel. It seemed like a low IQ version of a Nolan movie. ZS movies have all the colors washed out. They do. In terms of Zack Snyder movies, that and 300 to me were the best. They were the best. And what do we think of it? I think they're just better than his other films. And Henry Cavill really brought it. It's unfortunate he didn't have a great story. It had its moments. Um, he brought some seriousness to the role. He looked the part, but I think Zack Snyder let him down. He just let him down. Frakoff Felgerkarp says Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb just released Hush 2. Did they release it? Is it out or they're about to do it? And guys, you think about it. If anyone but Jim Lee drew that, would anyone give a shit? Jeff Loeb as a writer? No. Who gives a shit? He always rode the coattails of his artists, and he basically said, What do you want to draw, guys?" That's his idea of writing. Hey, Jim, what do you want to draw? I'll tell you. Okay, I'll write my story based on that. That's not a writer. It's a goddamn part of a cog in a machine. That's what that is. Um, Flutterbat says, "Oh yeah, I thought she was a pretty good Robin. She was. I think Carrie Kelly is a great Robin." Um, Amoral Fat 40 ounce says, "Just poof. A new Robin appears right when he needed Robin. It's like a supernatural emergence from the Bat mythology, birthed into existence, prepackaged for this Batman." I'm not sure if you're mocking that or I just think it's great. I think it's great because she was doing it on her own. She wanted to join Batman and then finds out through the word of mouth that there's a fight going to happen between Batman and she ends up there. And just in that moment, she distracts the mutant leader enough that Batman gets the upper hand, or else he's dead. Um, Art says it's cleaner. Hey, Art, it's cleaner, especially the face. I prefer the Miller Ink version, though. Yeah, there are moments, and it's interesting. Clearly, Klaus Janson is a better inker than Miller. Klaus Janson has made a 40, 50-year career of inking. But there were elements like this one right here. This is Klaus, and it works, and it's strong. Um, I don't know if Miller could have done at that point, at least when he started inking, as good a job with the bold lines on the horse. The horse looks epic. Um, it's just an epic shot. But something about the Miller inks, I don't know what it was, the thin line, and if it's only the black and white, it might not work as well with the color. But something about it looked a little more modern at that time, even. And I think that's what Miller was trying to shove Klaus to do, because Klaus mentioned it in an interview where you could tell he was a little hurt about it still this many years later, that Miller was trying to tell him, come on, man, we can't do the same shit over and over again type thing. And it worked, though. That was his guy. And they were a team for every single issue of Daredevil. There was no fill-in inker, and even Klaus picked up the drawing when Miller was doing for the last 8 to 10 issues of Daredevil, his first Daredevil run. He was doing layouts only, and so Klaus was doing the full pencils and the color and all that. So they were a team, and it was a little break. I think Miller was just, I don't know, trying something different. I think this was after he did Ronin. Okay, so he had already inked. Okay, my bad. He had already inked Ronin, and he brought a little of that into this, but it wasn't the detailed kind of inks that he was using like Mobius or some kind of manga at the time, detailed manga at least. But it was good. It was good. Eddie C. Art says, for a story to attain mythological status, it must have a clearly defining beginning and end. The very reason that DKR is a superior story to Year One, it is the limiting problem faced by serialized fiction. Yeah, there is that. This was an unexpected story that shoots Batman 20, if not more, years into the future, 25 years into the future. No one expected that story. But Miller, in his telling of it, at least in some of the interviews that I read and reread, he says he was about to hit 30, and he's like, "Holy shit, I'm not gonna be older than Batman." Uh-uh. So he threw him, 25 years into the future, which is funny. I like that. And so that, and then also the mythology, the legend of Batman. He becomes legendary to the point where people even in that world are like, was he even real? Who's back? People do know, clearly, but some just don't. But he comes back with a vengeance. to the point where the United States president at the time, who was loosely based on Reagan, tells Superman to get that horse under control in Gotham. He's running a little too wild there, you know. And we're supposed to be under control now. We have making the Superhero Act, whatever they called it, something that I think Mark Millar took, for Civil War, where the government tries to ban superheroes or at least put them under their control because something happens and they can't wait to retain power, the government. Um, Immoral Fat 49 says Ethan is pretty fearless. He doesn't care about star power. No. I mean, look, man, personally speaking, just for me, the way I know that Ethan's different than any of these other guys is the fact that he had me on his show and then has me on as a, come say king on a King's night and has me, doesn't mind being associated with me and even repost my stuff right there alone. Besides everything else, that to me is personally speaking, like, that's great because I know the kind of heat that I get and he doesn't seem to care and I respect it. SXS says they're called zeros for a reason. Absolutely. Because, guys, I may have mentioned to you, but I'll mention it again. A few years ago, I had sent feelers out to the zeros, as they're called now, maybe to check out Pigman, maybe to have me on and stuff. I never heard back, ever. And I know that some of them got their hands on these comics as well. I know that Nerdrotic and Quarter Black Garrett got them because Dave Landau. And they'd never contact me back, nothing. I know that the kayfabe guys, Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg, got my comics. Never would, they would review anything, shit comics. They don't care, except mine, So yeah. So Ethan had me on. Kudos to him. And I'm aware of, even when Ethan had me on, he goes, your reputation precedes you. He knows the kind of heat that I bring. And again, I don't even think it should be that way. I don't even think I should be this, you know. I've been called racist also extremely in the last week or two by these rats and wheelers and some other people today. It's like, okay, I laugh at it because it's like, first of all, it's dumb because I criticize Islam. Islam's a race all of a sudden. Stupid. JEC says, hey, JC, Dawn of the Dead fell apart in the third act. I don't remember too much about it. I did see it, though, years ago. James Gunn wrote it. Zack Snyder directed. And one thing I did like, what I remember, this is right up my alley, clearly, but in the beginning of that movie, they showed Muslims praying. It's a movie about zombies, right? That's pretty fitting. I'm not sure if it's there by accident either. I don't think so. Also, in 300, at least Zack Snyder and the writer who wrote it, if there was a writer who wrote it, added this element in there that was not in the graphic novel, where Leonidas is told by the messenger from the king, the Persian king, he goes, submission. And Leonidas is like, submission. And that's not by accident there. It's a few years removed from 9/11. Rejecting that word, rejecting the whole idea about submitting to something, especially to an enemy. So that was good. Elements like that I like. It shows a little resistance, a little defiance against that enemy at the time. And again, it's not by accident. A vicious, brutal enemy fighting them. Flutterbat says, this is why Ethan hates Eric July so much. Eric claims to hate woke commie wood, but bends to it every chance he gets. 100%. 100%. If any Hollywood whore would come up to him, tell him, I want to do ISOM, I want to do it this way, I want to have maybe whatever, some shitty actor to play it. Yeah, man, whatever, yeah, good. You know that. I mean, you know that. Frackhoff, Felgercar, Watchmen wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. But I still think that 300 and Man of Steel are his best. But there are elements of Watchmen that were really good. The ending, in particular, the way that they made it as if Dr. Manhattan was the cause of that attack. I like that because it's really puts it on the good guys, on the heroes that Ozymandias wants to vilify. wants to, kill and discredit and so on. That was smart. That was smart. It was better than the actual novel and whatever, you know, alien thing that Moore decided to do. Okay, let's see. Um, Flutterbass says, "Come on, dude! They made Batman a complete coward in Dark Knight Rises. A complete coward in Dark Knight Rises. No, dude. No, dude. That's ridiculous. He saves Gotham. I mean, coward? He got his ass kicked by this brutal guy who's younger than him and stronger. And then he comes back and kicks his ass. That's a coward? Come on. Come on." Um, Richard says, "I love Dark Knight Rises. I just didn't like him." Didn't like who, Richard? Are we talking about Bane or who? Hey, Moral of Half 40 Ounce, Dark Knight Rises, did he survive it? No, he survived it. They wouldn't be on screen otherwise. Richard said, "I didn't like him retiring at the end of the movie." I liked it, and I will say for this reason only. He was a really troubled Bruce Wayne. Nolan's version was a really troubled Bruce Wayne. He didn't, you know, he wasn't an actual playboy. He wasn't. He was all obsessed. And then he saves it in the moment of truth. He saves Gotham, and he wants to see if he can possibly live a normal life. And I appreciate it. And we don't know exactly where it goes. Maybe he comes back after a certain while. Maybe he's like, "All right, man, enough of this shit," and goes back. But I love the fact that they do a send off with giving him a shot at happiness. He deserves it. You got to give the guy, you got to give the hero, give him the girl. He gets the girl, he gets happiness. At least, give him a shot at it. And then, hey, I doubt, Nolan would ever come back. Maybe he thinks it's too highfalutin now, to even his comic books. I'm done with that. But hey, I would love to see him and Bale come back for a Dark Knight Returns type movie. Something where he has come back out of that retirement. But again, it's I like the fact that this is a different version of Batman where it's not the never-ending battle against crime. It's just him fighting for a few years, saving the city in the ultimate stakes, and then trying to see if he could find happiness. I like it. Batman deserves that. Egon the Dragoncock says DK3 seemed like a cash grab to me. I couldn't bring myself to read it. Uh, while it probably was, it was better than part two, and it had some really good moments. I could say it was, yeah, because of all the nostalgia they attached to it. All of the artists coming in and drawing 100 different images, which they collected into a book also, and they made these mini books, these mini comics. They made Miller doing these horrifically bad sequential stories, short stories, between the books, really bad. But there was one that was interesting with that he wrote and drew, and that he wrote and inked, and John Reed Jr. drew. It was just interesting to see them work together and to see that that's clearly John Reed Jr. It's clearly Frank Miller. I like that. I like that. Eddie C. Cart says, what does a British know about vigilantism? I thought Nolan's movies lacked teeth." Yeah, some people think that. I thought they were great. Flutterbass says, "Yeah, but didn't Catwoman end up killing Bane, not Batman?" Well, Batman, he doesn't really kill, and I think it's fine. She saved Batman from being killed by Bane, and then Batman goes out there and kills Bane's henchmen. If you remember that, he shot them with his ship because at that point, as he tells Gordon, it's war. You know, I think that the rules are a little gone right now. This is full blown war here, and he was willing to kill, but at that moment, he couldn't kill. Bane. He was being killed by Bane. He was stabbed. He was vulnerable. That's fine. I just don't think I don't see Nolan as woke. I don't. He has these pretty heroic characters. I mean, his Batman was heroic. Frakoff Felger says Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has some terrible casting. That's what I hear. We'll see. I want to see the movie. Maxie Miller says Oral Knots, great vids. They do have great vids. Very, very funny. Flutterbass says Batman looks like a giant beside Robin in that pic. Yeah, he does. And that's part of it also, to show this beast and with this saving grace. Now, Miller inked this page here, and you can tell. Carrie Kelly looks off, very different there. It looks like these are inked by Klaus, so I don't know. These clearly inked by Miller. And this looks like it's inked by Klaus, though. Interesting. I guess they kept switching back and forth. That's great stuff there, man. Look at this. It's really, really good. And the color, the paint by Varley. This is good stuff, man. Boys, girls, I'm here to appeal to your community spirit. I'm sure you're all eager to help. And you got the mutants gang flipping and turning for the Batman's gang. And then you have these little, the city getting together and helping each other. And then you have Commissioner Yendel with Merkel saying, Commissioner, no, he's too big. That's what Gordon was trying to tell her. Batman, he's bigger than what this thing is. It's not just this issue that we have about vigilantes, and he's needed here, especially at this time. We can't do what he's doing right now. And then look at this, guys. This Superman nuked. The sun's being blocked, not giving him his power. And then he says here, I have always loved you. Though I was born a galaxy away, I have always served you. He's talking to Earth, Mother Nature. That's how he puts it, at least. The same power, the sun's power, fuels us both. You hold it here. You store it. I beg you, for a suffering world, release it. Mother. Mother. He goes, you are so generous. Starts to break through the sun. You give me your beautiful jungle. I swear your adopted son will honor you. Brilliant. Look at that. Drained of color. And then the bright red, blue, and yellow pop back. Great stuff, man. Epic. Then you have these stories of the people during the riots and the news media telling that. Okay, let me show you this again, guys, because I believe this was added after the fact. I believe the black on the suit there was added after the fact, because in this one here, in the scans of the original art, it's not like that. I think it's open. I hope I have it. I think I do. Huh. Check this out, guys. What I just showed you also, we get to see Klaus's version of Superman when he's nuked. A little different. It's a little different. So look at this. This is Miller's version, right? Overlaid. And then you get Klaus's version here. Look at that. And then look at Klaus's. Look at that. Interesting, huh? It's definitely different. He added some blacks in there, a little more texture. And then also this one, the one that was just on screen. I want to show you guys. Yeah, okay. You see this right there? Look at that. Look at Batman, his figure, the mask, the cape, the boots, and they ended up filling it in. Was that Miller who did it after the fact? Because this is Klaus's work right here. This is Klaus's work. And let me get the screen back up. I think it's really, really cool. These little differentiations. I love it. Yeah, look at that, guys. Look at that one there and look at this one here. Damn, this book is unwieldy. It's so big. Look at that. Interesting, huh? Now that is Klaus, clearly. Both. That's Klaus's inks. And I'm assuming that Miller added the blacks on there. and it works to me. It works better with with the black. Pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool. I didn't notice that differentiation before. I think that's cool. And I wonder, they seemed friendly years later with Dark Knight 3. Um, so I guess there's no hard feelings, but it seems like there were for a bit. JEC says the thick Batman works since he's supposed to be middle aged. Yeah. Simply Green. I do have a bit of soft spot for chunky bats. Chunky bats, as in big bats, as in he's big. Well, I mean, that's the thing also. Pigman, you look at Pigman, if you read it or if you've seen, it's a little wink to this type of superhero. Big. And the only difference is that Pigman has an actual gut, whereas Miller in here, he still has some stomach cuts, Batman. But Pigman, he has to be big. He's a pig. Now, there is a moment in time, though, in Pigman at some point where you will see him, and, well, you will see him emaciated. And then that's his opportunity to get into full-blown superhero shape. So there's a moment in time where you see actually Pigman have this build that he hasn't had prior. And I just wanted to experience that, and also it gives me opportunity to see him in 3 different forms, throughout the book. It'll be fun. Frakoff Felger Carp says Michael Keaton would make a great old Bruce in Batman Beyond. 100%. The idiots just don't. He would. Don't do him in fucking Flash. Have a goddamn Batman Begins with a really good actor, a young actor, and have Michael Keaton in it. Perfect. It'll be great. You're absolutely right. He's just the right age now. It's perfect. He's still a good actor. And, he's gotten better as an actor too, Michael Keaton. He's a very good actor. It would be back, 100%. JEC says, by the late 80s, Miller was doing a lot of work in Hollywood, RoboCop 2 and whatnot. No time for extended comic book run. Yeah. Hollywood came a running after Dark Knight Returns. And that's why, guys, I mean, this is why it gives even more credence to it's not a theory, it's a fact that Dark Knight Returns success propelled Warner Bros. To make the Batman movie. Because they knew, okay, this has transcended the mainstream comic books. It's gotten into the culture, pop culture in general. Other people were taking it on, Rolling Stone magazine, and others, and so on. Yeah, and it's funny with Miller. He was Dark Knight Returns, Daredevil Born Again, Electro Assassin, a few things within a few very short years, and then came back and did Sin City. He was working on Daredevil Born Again. Sorry, Daredevil Man Without Fear with Jeremy Jr. It was released maybe a little after, but he was working on it at that time, and also the Electra graphic novel, Electra Lives Again, I believe it's called. And then, because he had worked on RoboCop 2, 3, and maybe some other stuff. Maybe things fell through, and then went to pure comic books with Sin City, black and white, where he wrote, penciled, inked, and lettered. He did the works on that. And I think that was his way of just getting the stench of Hollywood off him. Because he said in an interview at one point, he goes, after he came back to comics, he goes, yeah, writers, they're treated like, how do you put it? Where dogs pee on. Treated like shit, in other words. And he got it, full on, no matter whatever status he thought he had going in. And then he came back years later and did The Spirit. I was at the premiere one at that time. Breitbart was there, and a few friends of mine. I spoke with Miller for a few minutes, as I did years after that. Never quite there. And it had its moments in that movie, but it is clearly Frank Miller's spirit. It's not Will Eisner's spirit. The one thing I did like was the visual of the actor who played Denny Colt, the Spirit. He was a really good actor. He looked the part. He had a great voice, a great build. He was solid. I forgot his name, but he was in the suits. He was good, and that suit, the black suit with the red tie, with the fedora, I thought that was very effective. But then he brings in, Samuel Jackson and some bullshit in there. It's like, okay, yeah, and some stupid stuff going on. but still has moments visually pretty, pretty cool. But it was not Will Eisner's. I think that they should have made it. Should have made it some kind of period piece and not mess with the modernity of it all. Flutterbat says, after discovering his wife was the best guest at Diddy party, I feel sorry for Ben. Is that yeah? You mean Jennifer Lopez? Oof. JEC says Affleck has had his heart broken a few times by now. Needs to be good now. His alimony to pay has right. Has alimony to pay. That's right. He needs to be a good actor now. That's funny. I just think he has the weight of life. And the guy, again, he was a whore who went out drinking, clubbing, fucking around, being a star. And I think that can run out, man. And he's like, I think he has a lot to unload, let's just say. He probably has a lot of demons. So if he uses it for the movies, good. Enough of this shit. You're too old for this. Make some good stuff. And the trailer for the next Accountant looks good. Him and John Bernthal are, I think, play brothers. It's pretty interesting. That first one was good. The Accountant, we're talking years ago now. My God, 6, 7 years. It's hard to believe, but they got a sequel coming up, so that should be interesting. Wingus Dingus. Actually, Frakoff, Felgerkorb. Kevin Smith said a director's cut of Batman Forever from Schumacher existed longer and darker in tone. There was also, Rick Baker had made a huge bat that the dummy Schumacher thought was an actual huge bat in The Dark Knight Returns, where it was like a mythological bat in the Batcave. You know, it wasn't necessarily this huge bat. They never showed Bruce Wayne with him, but of course, in the dummies version, they took it out of the movie. But check it out. There's a moment in there where this huge, monstrous bat is looking face to face at Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne, and they showed. It's online. You got pictures, you got images, you got in Rick Baker's vault. You have this. It's really done well though. It's a great looking bat. But it's some good visuals in there. When he tells Harvey, he goes, "It's too late, Harvey." Something like that was really good. He smashed the helicopter, glass with his head, with his helmet, the bat helmet. When he falls down into the city and comes out, the fire's behind him. Pretty good effect, pretty effective, but overall, a mess, absolute mess. Wingus Dingus, the way that horse is inked in that splash page always amazed me. It's so good. The profile one, right? It's very strong, man. Really strong stuff, and I love the fact that it's off the ground there by a number of feet. I love that. It's just really good comics. And he wasn't looking for pretty pictures. He was looking for impact, emotional impact. Propel the story. Keep moving, and don't get in the way too much. Don't get in the way of the story by noodling things up, by pulling a Jim Lee and just making 100 lines on a face for no reason. Leg kick one. Hello, Bosch. Hello, leg kick one. Comic books and cahoots. I totally agree about Jeff Loeb. Yeah, man. Ugh. Nothing's going on with him. You get Jeff Loeb with Rob Liefeld and then talk to me about a great comic, please. He needs to lean on these, good artists. And even, Tim Sale, I wasn't crazy about him. I wasn't crazy about his anatomy or his faces, but he had this great feeling around his work. The layouts, the gray wash in particular, really, really good stuff. Okay, Frakoff Felgerkarb, Hush 2 releases March 26th. That's interesting because while I'm out on the outskirts of the comic book industry in a lot of ways, I haven't paid attention too much. I still check out what might be coming this and that. I think Shane brought it up. He was the first one I ever heard it from last month or 2 months ago. And he had the right attitude. It's like, why do Hush 2? Why not do Green Lantern or something? Revive another character. I don't know. Do Plastic Man. I don't think he has it in him to do that, but something interesting, something different. It's like, oh, yeah, he's doing it. Another Batman. Hush. That one wasn't even great. Hush as a storyline? What? Every issue was a guest star. I want this. Hey, Jim, what do you want to draw? I want the Joker in this issue. Okay. And then what else? Superman? Okay. A little kryptonite in there? Okay, good. Hurt. Amoral Fat 40 says, not mocking it. I like this album. Okay, yeah. Yeah, me too. I think she's great. I like to think of Batman as a possession or an unseen influence. You mean a Batman has a possession or an unseen influence? Alistair Campbell. Hey, Alistair. Hey, Bosh, how are you? Good. Sorry, I'm off topic, but did you enjoy your Fire's Night Celebration song? Oh, yes. It was me that asked John to play it for you. Absolutely. It's hilarious. And I always got a kick out of seeing people with that cheesy song, with that cheesy singer. I think it's funny. Um, I like it. I guess it was worth it because I cracked, I think, 12,000 at that time. And by the way, guys, before I leave you guys, if you can, check out my campaign, which is, it's still at 207, I believe, backers, 13,600, I think. It'll be pulled up in any second now. Okay, 209. Wow, I got two backers, guys. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much, guys. I don't know if it was you guys here or that is awesome. That is awesome. Every backer counts. It's 100% true. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you very much, guys. Even Ethan just shared that. So that clearly made a difference. I really appreciate that, Ethan. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, Ethan's been, great, man. He had me on my launch. I got, called out. He gave him $100. That's why I had him on. Hey, man. I mean, I'm using my advertising money. I use it for ads on there. I use it for, super chats just to remind people. John's channel, Shane's, Katie's. That's it. I want to remind people. And $100 is enough to me to say, okay, yeah, I definitely want some backup here. If you guys can share, I would really appreciate it. So thank you very much, guys. Very much. I love it. Thanks for reminding me. Alistair, appreciate it. And thanks for asking John to play on Fire tonight. Fire tonight. So funny. Yeah, guys. So very, very cool. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I always love, it's like every day you put in the work. And I don't want to hit you guys over the head every moment. Pigman, come on, guys. No, I mean, I want to talk about things I love. I want to talk about the Dark Knight Returns and all this stuff. And of course, I want to sell my comic. I definitely do. I'm not going to read the whole thing again like I did the old day, but just to let you know, guys, I got 9 images from the comic within. By the time I go through them, I'm going to revise them. I'm going to remaster them. It'll be a better version of this issue. It's issue 1 of Pigman will be the first 2 issues of the Infidel feature Pigman number 1 and 2. Issue 1 of Pigman will be those, but expanded scenes, splash pages, extra pages, better drawing, and so on, better lettering, and so on. I just want to give myself a shot to give my best foot forward in my first, comic here, with the backing of Comicsgate. I really want to give you guys something worthwhile. And then by issue 3, if you guys can get me there, all new material. It'll be all new material. And that's very exciting to me. Very, very exciting. I've gone through a lot in the last number of years, I got to say. And it's back to this, and it's just it's exciting. And plus, I'm doing the other book that I'm doing. I'm over 200 pages. I got another 130 pages to draw on that one. Then this will end up being another 300. So, but by the time I'm done, I'm going to have over 1,000 something pages of comic books and the other books that I have, and so on. It's exciting, guys, and it's all independent work. It's all reliant on guys like you. Really, really appreciate it, guys. And just let me run through it and get back to Dark Knight. I got 4 different covers here, guys. A relatively traditional comic book cover. I got this one, the full frontal. I got the main characters here, the twin brothers, recovered Muslim, born again Muslim, Pigman, Super Jihad. They're all on this side. You got the recovered Muslims, on this side you got the born again Muslims. It happens to be that the born again Muslims are the most vicious because they're trying to prove to their more devout co-religionists, hey man, I'm more than you. I got a bigger prayer scar. I really pray hard, and so on. and they're always trying to prove themselves. They're trying to prove that they're not pieces of shit, that they're true believers. I got this other cover. I think it's a pretty iconic cover of Pigman vowing to end jihad. I got hard index card drawings. I have the four covers here. You can get them all at once. Digital copies. Pigman T-shirt with the Pigman symbol. Pigman symbol is September 11th, 9/11, capitalist pig, dollar sign, and a few more things. The war paint print, 11 by 14. Um, I want that all pack. And guys, I doodled something, and I'm going to show you just a doodle. Just a doodle. I just want to show you quick. Just this, okay? Something that I'm considering as a stretch goal. A short story, a mini comic that will come to everyone with a certain stretch goal. I've been considering doing a story that's takes on a different, one of the worst jihads. Let me just say that, and it's Pigman going off on some other mission that has not been seen in the comic. It'll be like an extra that I could add maybe in a full collection at a certain point. But in the meantime, I think I want to add a very 10-page cover, everything, all color, everything, a story about him going from this particular jihad, which is one of the most heinous jihads. He goes from country to country and does his damage. And I just put it down to paper. I was like, okay, I think as a stretch goal, that could be interesting. And I don't know exactly what number that will be, but 20,000, possibly 25. Everyone will get it at that point. Because at that point, I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. So that's interesting to me. It's something also to create 10 more pages extra to this as part of this campaign. And maybe for the next campaign and next one. Who knows? Other short stories. Things that Pigman, I didn't have him do in this. It's interesting. It's such an organic thing here, man. Change up the campaigns and add stuff. And I'm really liking it. I'm starting to get the hang of it. Trading card submission, impossible. Table for one. I was asked to add this to my campaign. I'm very happy I did because now I will get another print run. I will have some backup because it's been out of print now. $100 for sketch covers where I draw original drawings on the actual comic book. It's a black and white, it's just a blank cover that I draw Pigman, Killian, or I don't know, whoever. You guys could even ask me to draw I guess a Batman grabbing a jihadist by the neck. It is, I think I could do that as far as I know. If it's an original art, I'm not selling Batman as a published comic. It's just an original art drawing. I think I could do that, but you guys tell me. And then also original art pages from Pigman and Pigman Commission. Thanks for indulging me, guys. I do appreciate it. I do this every single time I stream. I think it's important to remind people to sell, and I am not shy about the quality of my comics and the fact that I think they're worth buying. I'm not at all. I love my work. I love my comics, and this is something that's very, very important to me. So thank you very much, and thanks to Ethan out there. Thank you, man. He's been very generous with his repostings, and it always makes a difference. I really appreciate it. So thanks again, Alistair. Thanks for asking John to put the fire tonight. It's hilarious. I always get a kick out of it, always when they play it. So funny. Flutterbat says, yeah, the comics I love to call, okay, yeah, the commies love to call their victims the very things they are. They're as racist as Hitler, so of course they call the victims racist, 100%. And again, I will tell you, Flutterbat and others, about the commies and the Nazis, right? They're all different now. I call them commie Nazis. Same shit. The only difference between Stalin and Hitler was that Hitler had a shorter mustache, and I mean that. Stalin hated Jews as much as Hitler. And then you got Elijah Schaefer, a piece of shit, who said something the old day. Communism is Jewish. No, dummy. Communists hate Jews. National Socialists, Nazis hate Jews. Socialists in general hate Jews. Muslims hate Jews. They're all in bed together, all these Jew haters, and that's what combines them. And then you got now these Jew haters on the quote unquote right. I don't think they're on the right, like Tucker Carlson and these other rats. This Ian Connor, I forgot his name. Ian Carroll, another piece of shit comes out of nowhere, and they're trying to make him famous, trying to make him a thing. From Tucker and Joe Rogan and these other hacks. He goes, Israel did 9/11. That's a pussy. Yeah, he's a Jew hater, but that's a pussy. That's a pussy right there. And I know even some of you guys, idiots on here, might believe that as well. You're idiots. That's why. It's pathetic. It also diminishes the evil of the Islamic enemy, and it gives an undue smear of the innocent, of the victims of jihad. Israel did 9/11, and they also did October 7th, according to these savages. I see. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, very, very smart. Kill its own people and kill their best friends. No. Flutterbat says, yeah, I really need to go back and rewatch Dark Knight Rises. I'm getting the feeling I miss a lot of details because even Cecil likes this film. You know what? I'm glad to hear Cecil because he has been pretty damn good about certain things. I think we agree about a number of the movies that I saw him mention. It's solid, Flutterbat. And, you know, I think people never forgave her for not being the Dark Knight and for Tom Hardy not being Heath Ledger. It's like, guys, it's a different beast here. What the hell were they going to do? I mean, Ledger's dead. He did an epic performance. Yes, it was great. And then you got a completely different character in Bane, a completely different character, loosely based, I think, their version at least, on the mutant leader in Dark Knight Returns, and I think even Bane is somewhat based on that. I know oh no, I said no, it was a complete. That's what it comes off like a little. It does. This big guy who kicks Batman's ass, and then he comes back. So there's a little element there, and clearly, Dark Knight Returns had an impact on the Nolan brothers, Jonathan Nolan and Christopher Nolan. Jonathan Nolan talked in an interview. He spoke about the fact that his brother, Chris, who's a little older than him, he was raised. I think he was raised in Chicago. He was raised in London, and then they both moved back and forth. And there's something also to be said about Nolan. However, whatever you guys think, he's some kind of a pussy Brit. The guy is half American, as was Churchill. So whatever you want to say about these, wussies, right? Churchill was half American. He had something that edge to him, as does Nolan. And I wouldn't be shocked if Tommy Robinson has some, because the guy's got balls, and that's what Britain needs more than anything right now. Anything. So there's something about that. But yeah, check it out. Flutterbat. It stands up, and emotionally, it got me the most. Bruce goes through hell, and he rises above it, and vanquishes this evil that destroyed him in a lot of ways, and saves the day, saves Gotham in an epic way. It's awesome. Richard Gradwell says, I understand what you're saying about Bruce, but I just felt his obsession with protecting others in Gotham would never allow him to retire. I get that too, Richard. I do. He loses his connection with Alfred over it. You know, um, I don't know. And he had the backup. He had John Blake / Robin. That's his actual name, Robin. Yeah, he had the backup there. So he's still protecting Gotham. He set them all up for that. The kid's ready to go. He's raring to go. He's a man of justice, John Blake. So, but again, we don't know exactly where the story goes. Does Bruce get fed up with Selena? Does he get fed up with being in France or wherever he was? Um, ah, Thanks, man, Art. Thanks, Art. Here I go again. Not getting the link. So silly, man. So silly. I do it most of the time now, at least, so I'm not that bad. But I'm gonna get the link, tag it to the top. Thank you very much, Art. I think I might need you guys, man. I forget about these things, so I really, really appreciate it. One second, guys. I'll get this one right here. It's the best one because it's the bit lie one. At least that's what I call it. Bit ly. It's the short one. Doesn't get too busy with all the text and stuff. So I can go to YouTube here, put it right in there. I appreciate it. Keep going, guys. One second, guys. Thank you very much, guys. It's the best one because it's the bit lie. Put it in there. At least that's what I call it. Pin it. Bit ly. It's right short there, and it doesn't get too busy with all the text and stuff. Works. It does work. Thank you very much. YouTube here. Thank you, Art. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. I'll read a few more comments, guys, and then I will continue with this great comic, all-time great. Check this out also, this one little moment, sorry, between Robin and now also this one, you got Superman's True Blue is his net narrative boxes. You have um Batman's is gray, Gordon's is dark gray, you have Robin's is yellow, you have the Joker's green. It's great. Robin says it's only once in the whole night that it shows. He's given orders, and all the mutants and SOBs and everybody are gone for a minute. He just sags in his saddle like an old man. Then he straightens up and grins at me like it's funny. He can't die. He can't die. Also, this moment with Gordon. Turns out Sarah had gone to the grocery store. He thought the worst. Turns out, excuse me, guys. Turns out Sarah forgot to tell me she needed milk. One more thing. Grabs her. That's awesome. Clark tells the president, "No, Miss President, I'm afraid he'll never let me bring him in alive." And then you got this moment with, what's his name? Oliver Queen, Green Arrow. He's like, "You've always had it wrong, Bruce. Giving them such a big target. Sure, you play it mysterious, but it's a loud kind of mysterious. I mean," he goes, "It's a loud kind of mysterious, man, especially lately. You got to learn how to make those sons of bitches work for you. Look, it's been 5 years since I blew out of prison, and I've kept busy." He goes, "And they've been covering for me, just like they covered up my escape. Sure, they'd love to frost me, long as they can do it without admitting I exist. But you, Bruce, man, they have to kill you." Bruce is like, "Oliver, what do you want?" So I get a little bothered. Because I always knew it'd get down to you and the big blue schoolboy. Planet's too big for the two of you. When it all comes down, I want a piece of him. A small piece will do, for old time's sake, It still hurts when it's cold. So this is where Miller established the fact that Superman had something to do with him losing his arm, his left arm. And they incorporated that in the regular continuity of DC. Chuck Dixon and Rodolfo DiMaggio, who's a hell of an artist, made that particular issue. And then it turned to Connor Hawk, I believe that was the name. And by the way, I mentioned this before, guys, but I'll mention it again. This is basically Cable. 4 years before Cable was created. That's Cable, by the way. And it's not by accident. And you'll see him later on with pockets, a lot of pockets, and a lot of stuff in there. So that's the originality of what's his name? Rob Liefeld there. Anyway, let me go through a few things here. This is great stuff, guys. You got the fight scene here. I'm not going to get too much into it here, but yeah, Miller, it's I love that, but man, look at that. That's just a fat, there's no foreshortening there from the ankle to the shin and then go into the calf. The calf goes right into the foot. It doesn't work, but there it works. But Miller was like, "Yeah, I'll just do it. It's wrong." And Klaus should have tried to fix it up a little, made it there, and then pop it off there. But then things like this, that's great. The blank shot right there. So they're going at it, and Bruce and then Clark at one point, Superman says, "Bruce, I just broke 3 of your ribs, as in, let's get serious here." And then the kryptonite comes in, and Bruce mentions the fact that it wasn't easy to synthesize Clark. It took years, and it cost a fortune. Luckily, I had both. You're beginning to get the idea, Clark. This is the end for both of us, and they keep going at it. And he goes, "I want you to remember, Clark, in all the years to come, in your most private moments, I want you to remember my hand at your throat. I want you to remember the one man who beat you." And then, boom, 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 boom. Strong stuff, man. Strong stuff. All right, guys. I'm going to read a few more comments. Thanks for everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. Okay, one second, guys. Alistair Campbell says the new Watchmen chapters 1 and 2 are quite good. They are, Alistair. I saw them both. Very good. But he uses the Alan Moore original ending, though. Yeah, I enjoy them. It's a lot like Snyder's film without all the songs. I know. Snyder has this corny penchant to shove these stupid pop songs and songs in his movies. It's like, it doesn't belong, man. Especially lyrical songs. Like, you don't do that. Sorry, guys. I got some dry lips. But yeah, it was really good. I love Titus Welliver. He plays Bosch, Harry Bosch, and he does the voice for Rorschach. And he's a big time comic book fan. He is, but he laid it on way too thick. The growl of Rorschach, too much. You know, he should have pulled back a little, like Bale when he tells Catwoman, "It's over the bridge." It's like, it doesn't work, man. It does not work. But it was good. It was well done, well animated. It took a Gibbon style and made it stylized and pretty damn cool, pretty damn good looking, actually. The movement was good. The shading was fantastic. The lighting and the shadow, fantastic. Better than the graphic novel. Very good. That was something that they added, and they also incorporated the pirate comic book, and that was really different drawings than the Watchmen stuff, which was really cool. A rougher brushwork. Nice. Thanks again, Art. JEC says, did you read Ronin 2? I was at the store. I looked through it. It did not appeal to me. Talking heads or big shots of figures with no backgrounds, only serviceable, I don't know, detail that was some circuitry or something. Nah, man. Did Miller write the whole thing? I know he only drew issue 4. And yet other artists, I think he may have done some layouts, but he drew issue 4. So, you know, it's funny. If you would have told me years ago that, are you going to skip Ronin 2 if it comes out? Or are you going to skip, Amazing Spider-Man drawn by John Romita Jr. this and that? I would have said, hell no. I am. It's not that good. It's just not that good. So thanks again for guys for backing Pigman. I really appreciate it. I love the fact that it seems like every time I do a stream, you guys, I get a few backers. Really appreciate it. Yesterday I got 5 backers, and I can't account for exactly why. I'd like to believe it's just because you guys are interested, but I want to give you guys good reasons to do it if you haven't. And again, it's you're going to get something that you can truly say that in your collection there's no comic like it. You can truly say that. That's what I can guarantee. Outside of anything else, takes on this ancient religion, one of the world's great religions, and just exposes it as the evil motivation behind jihad, behind this the doctrine of warfare that spreads Islam and establishes Sharia law. And I try to get as deep as I can in it. And again, I don't try to hammer you over the head either. I'm not going to be like Ditko and punishing the reader and in inappropriate times shoving my philosophy in your face. I'm trying to integrate it within the story. And the scenes that I do have, those debates are make sense. They're in debates, panels, and comic book conventions, on television programs, in courtrooms. That's perfect sense. I mean, to me, it fits. So yeah, JEC. I didn't read it. I was at the bookstore today actually, and I saw that they just released a hardcover edition of that. And if I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it in that form. And excuse me, 300 when it was released in comic book form, and then when it's printed, it's published in a wide screen version where it's 2 pages in one, right? Even though it's just like these long pages, I think that's the way it is. So if I'm going to get that, I'm going to get that. I saw it today. I wasn't compelled to buy it, but a part of me still like, God damn it, is there something worthwhile in there? It can't be any worse than what's happening to today comics, can it? I don't know. I don't know. Um, JEC says maybe Lynn filled in the cape when she called it. I don't think so. It looks like ink to me, JEC. It looks like ink. I know she could use black paint in there, but it looks like, I think Miller, a little blotchy. That's what it looks like to me. And I love that. I love seeing those little discrepancies. It's like, okay, what was happening behind the scenes there? And also, one thing, guys, late comics and all that, right? Dark Knight was late. Dark Knight was months late between issues, months. Does anyone talk about that today? About this late comics thing, right? Nobody talks about that today. Um, you know, All Star Superman, as far as I know, it was late. I don't think about that. I don't talk about that today. It's about the quality in the end. You want your books to be on time and all that, sure, no doubt about it. You do, but you also want quality, tip-top quality. And again, The Dark Knight Returns is not the most polished work, but it's so good. The story is so strong that even work that you might think is wonky can't hurt it. They just can't. It's like there's so much great stuff going on that you just take it in. You take it in as a story and on an emotional level, um, intellectually too. But still, my point is that it doesn't trip up the story. It doesn't take away from it, and sometimes it even adds to it when the art's really really good, and that's what you want ideally. Like there's a comic book that Jose Luis Garcia Lopez drew. It's fantastic. It's beautiful and forgettable. I'm not saying because of him, but the story comes and goes. The art is stunning. He's one of our all-time greats. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, one of our all-time greats. And he's never done anything as impactful as Dark Knight Returns, ever. And even if he drew Dark Knight Returns, would it be as impactful as it is? I don't know about that. Now, if he drew the layouts that Miller did, interesting. And Klaus Janson inked it, made Jose Luis Garcia Lopez look a little rougher. Phew, that could be something. But the point is that Miller's work is more impactful than these all-time great um, cartoonists, illustrators. Miller's work is more impactful than anything that Alex Toth has done. Even though Alex Toth to me is the best comic book artist ever. His work wasn't as impactful in terms of his writing. Absolutely not. He just wrote basically. He wrote Bravo for Adventure, which is great, especially for him. But it's not on par with Dark Knight or Batman Year One or Daredevil Born Again. It's just not. That's why I tend to forget, and we tend to forget also Dave Mazzucchelli, but the impact that Dave Mazzucchelli had in the comics. Batman Year One, Daredevil Born Again, two of the all-time greats, and he drew them both with Miller at the top of his game. It's more impactful than most stories out there. Miller took this deadly seriously. He really did. He knew the impact that he was having. He knew that he had to bust his ass. He's a storyteller. That's what he actually is. That's what he really is. He's not an artist per se. He's not a draftsman per se. He's not. He's a storyteller. That's his thing. That's his power. And to me, he's our finest. Even Mark Millar said that the other day. I had to agree. He goes, he's I think he put it this way: he's his favorite creator of all time. That's fine, but he's more than that. It's not just he's my favorite. No, he's the best storyteller. Period. The way he designs a story, the way he tells it. 300. Check out 300 if you haven't. It's fantastic. Starts off with this collective narration. We march through this, through that, through snow. We march. It's interesting, man, because it's like you don't want like a collectivist type of thing, but it works for this story with the 300. It works. They're a unit and they need each other. Without each other, they're going to collapse. It's very strong, and to me that's his latest. That's his last great work. 300, his last great work, 1998. He's had moments since then, little lights here and there, but nothing overall like that. And I think he still has it in him. I just don't know if he'll get it to us, but he has it in him. Of course he does. Of course he does. I mean, if I'm him, I would. If he's not going to do Dark Knight Returns, something like that, do a comic book, do the layouts, and have an artist who really gives a damn and wants to put in the work to refine it, to beautify it and stuff. I would like to see that. Thanks again, Art. Appreciate it, man. About the link. Um, Richard Gradwell says there was the huge bat in year one. Yes, Father, I shall become bat. Yeah, it wasn't that huge though. The one in Dark Knight Returns was like a monster, and that's where the Batman Forever I think got it from. Where that let me. It's not here, guys. I'm not going to pull it back up again. But it's that huge bat that crashes through the glass. It doesn't just and if you remember the statue of Thomas Wayne, the bat went on top of the head, so it wasn't that big. Maybe bigger than an average bat, but the way Miller did it in Dark Knight Returns, that was a monster. That was a monster bat, and it's metaphorical. It's just as at one point where remember when Bruce Wayne is watching TV and he comes across Zorro, and he goes, "It's just a movie. It's no big deal. It's just he lied to himself. It's not just a movie. It's the movie that him and his parents saw the night that they were murdered." And Nolan added the extra element in there of Bruce Wayne telling his father, "Please, Dad, can we get out of here?" Therefore, blaming himself, his cowardice, for having endangered his mother and father and got him killed. And he beat himself up for that for the rest of his life. And that's why that Bruce Wayne that they had in there, Richard and others, I just think that give him some happiness, give him a shot. Don't have him in that back cave for the rest of his life or for another 10 years. Give him a shot and see what happens. And again, Gotham is still protected. It still has a protector, still has Batman. It's not him, and it might not even be a Batman per se. It could be another, I don't know, a form that John Blake takes on, but something. It has an adventure that will work with the cops still. Because if you remember, he had that argument with Gordon about the shackles and the unjust nature of this institution here, and he just couldn't do it anymore. So he works outside the law, but it looks like he's going to work with Gordon, because at the end he gets you get a little glimpse of the signal, which is fixed now again, and Gordon looks at it and he just starts smiling, and it was Gary Oldman doing that. It was great. It looks so genuine. He's such a great actor. It was so interesting to see Gary Oldman playing this straight guy with no darkness really. You could argue about that, but he was a straight guy, a straight cop, even though him and Batman lied to the city about Harvey Dent and all that. And I like the fact that Nolan came back and it came to bite them, because I really don't like that. I hated when Batman decided at the end, no, no, the Joker cannot win, so therefore we're going to have to lie. No. And you're going to have to become the bad guy who's hunted down? You're the murderer? Just to prop this up? So I love the fact that Nolan probably didn't sit with him well either. Even after he thought about it, he was like, I think I got to come back to bite them. That's not the way it goes. That the truth is always the best policy. Always. You don't lie to the public to cover this up. You don't do that. You say, hey, Harvey Dent, He was not made of steel. He wasn't. He bent. The Joker was able to. He was corruptible, and but the truth does come out eventually through Bane, unfortunately, who used it as a bludgeon against good guys. But thanks, Beaner guys. Always appreciate your time and your patronage. I really, really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Let me. JEC says Jeff Lobb's big claim to fame before comics was Commando and Teen Wolf. That's the level of his writer is. Yeah, I know. And then he was involved with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, believe it or not, was pretty good for a time. There were some good elements in there, especially after Winter Soldier came out. It got that entire Hydra within S.H.I.E.L.D. came out on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it was pretty damn good. That episode and then the following episode. And yeah, it went, whatever, off the grid a little with Coulson and all that, but it had some elements in there that were good. But how involved was he in there? I don't think he was involved with writing it. Alistair Campbell, it is a song, funny and catchy. Yeah, definitely. I'm not just, mocking it. I think it's hilarious. Flutterbass says, yeah, Ethan's a great guy. He is. He has a lot of shit. By all the usual suspects. Some really butthurt, bitter rats out there. They really are. And they only have themselves to blame. Treat people with respect. Show them the appreciation they deserve. And you'll be surprised. You'll get some good return. Give and take. Grab an oar, as John says. We're in the same boat, guys. We're somewhat misfits here on the outskirts. We're not allowed to play with the big toys and all that. We have our own anyway. And they're, as interesting as hell to each of us, our own work. Alistair says, you're welcome, Bosch. It looked like you enjoyed it. It's a fun catch song. Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, I got a kick out of it. Again, I always get a kick out of it when it's played for others. At first I was like, damn, that is cheese. But it's become part of this whole thing. It's cool. Flutterbat says, great stream as always, Bosch. Thank you very much. You all take care and be safe. Thanks, Flutterbat. Appreciate it. Alistair Campbell, the tales of Black Freighter. Yeah, exactly. John Porton, the patience for greatness usually pays off. 100%, John. John Porton says, Dungeoneer books are just as bad as Repertoire's books. I imagine they are. Jim, hey, Jim. How's it going? Howdy, Bosch. How was your Saturday night going? Excellent, Jim. Thanks a lot. Thanks for asking. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it, guys. I skimmed through Dark Knight Returns, which is, if you were to ask me, Desert Island, what do you got? I got Dark Knight Returns. I got OK Computer by Radiohead. I got, what else? Groundhog Day, Godfather 2. I don't know, man. I mean, movies, Up. I love Up. Up is an all-time classic, guys. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. Believe it or not, it's 16 years old now. Up by Pixar. Beautiful movie. Incredibly told. Love it. So damn good. John says, I think Katie invited you on tonight. She said she put the link in the kids' room. Okay. I guess there's some drama tonight. Okay. I will check it out. Thanks for mentioning it, John. Appreciate it. I'm going to get going. You guys be well. Thank you very much. Thanks for getting thanks for the backing also. Appreciate it, guys. You guys take care. Be well. Thank you.